What's up, everybody? This is an open class about how to go out with AZD. I'm Yogi Chris, Captain Chris of Captain of IMC Nation. It was interesting, like this old wrestler, I didn't know him, but he was obviously like a wrestler. And he hits me up and he says, I heard you were the captain or something. The way he talked about it, it was almost like I was a team captain, like when we played team sports. And I was team captains of several teams. And it is kind of like that, actually. I'm like team captain of IMC Nation. There's like a coach and there's like the captain. So that's what this is. And then how to go out with AZD. You may have the opportunity at some point in your life to go out with AZD. And that may or may not look like what you think it looks like. Different people, I mean, that's a very general phrase to say, like, going out. Like, what is that, going out? There's nightclubs, strip clubs, just going out to restaurants, going out just to any social gathering, just getting out of the house, really. But, you know, getting out of the house doesn't necessarily mean interactions with any women. It might not even mean interactions with very many people at all. Just going to a gas station, it's quite an adventure. So you'll see this as you're around him. There are people that, let's say, live in his hometown that have been around him in different ways, but didn't approach it like as if they were a student or, you know, like he was their mentor. So they just casually cross paths with him. They don't, I don't think, have the eyes to see. They don't have the mind to perceive what it is that they're around. So they don't value it in the same way. They're very distracted, as we all once were, by things that, for example, I was exposed to AZD, and then like a year later is when it like hooked. And so what was I doing for that year? I was more or less interested in the subject. I was looking in other places or whatever. I didn't have the eyes to see, the mind to perceive. And so this internet thing is amazing, really, because if someone like AZD relied only on the people in his hometown to be his students and clients, it might not have developed this far. And when it develops this far and there's an abundance of guys, clients and everything, then you can really tighten your standards, which is one reason why it hasn't like exploded, because instead of exploding laterally, it's more exploding in a forward way. It's evolving by tightening the standards on who's in the group and what they have to be able to do to get somewhere, what it takes to be a rank, to guardian, base leader, lieutenant, tribal leader, captain. These ranks, you got to go through the reins, go through the rings of fire, achieve things to be even considered like someone that would be named on lecture or talked about in positive ways. Like you've done something, and it's not just a money investment. It's like an improvement in you, in your character. It's apply. And so there's enough of these examples of guys like this that it's just like anybody who's not doing it, we know something's wrong with you because there's too many of us. That being said, everybody's on a different time scale. So one person grows a certain amount in 2 weeks, another person 2 years. Okay, just be doing it, going in that direction. You will have breakthroughs. You're just, you know, you're just looking for the right eyes to see, the right mind to perceive. When you come around AZD, you know, there is a readiness to communicate, a readiness that is, it is an alertness. It is you could call it like a presence, but it's not just like spiritual presence or whatever. I've studied with different spiritual people, and, you know, that what is thought of as maybe like presence or spiritual presence isn't necessarily a readiness to communicate, like to be at alert, to be at not on guard necessarily, but like, man, it's kind of like when you do the sword, what's the sword play? Fencing. When you do fencing, they're like on guard and you get into a stance. Or it's like wrestling, when you get into your stance and you're ready. It's like he is always in his stance. Anybody that's like, let's say wrestling, for example, if you try to you bend your knees and you fold at the waist a little bit and you're leading with your head, and you're in this wrestler stance where you're about to wrestle somebody. It's difficult to hold that stance for, you know, the match may be 7 minutes. It's difficult to hold it for 7 minutes. It's difficult to hold it for like 2 hours if you're doing like a practice, a whole practice. Now imagine holding your stance, 16 hours a day, every day. So there's a readiness. And so there's also a strength, a mental strength to be alert and ready for the day. So when you hang out with him, it's not that he's so intense all the time. A lot of times he's not intense, but he will, without warning, start going into some kind of imagination or just responding to someone or people, or, even just speaking out a thought, which is kind of like imagination. And you'll miss it if you're not ready to receive, if you're not ready to perceive. And if you're around enough and you have the eyes to perceive and the mind to see or whatever, then you'll really feel like you missed out, because it's always coming from this place of being a world-class player. So there is no idle chit-chat, really. There is no, careless word spoken or whatever. It may seem casual, and, it might even use slang terms or curse words or whatever. So it may seem like not... like it doesn't, like Elon Musk, it's easy to see because all the money and everything. The president, it's easy to see, even the president's fucking retard, this one. But like when a man has like power, like there's that political way of speaking. But this is a different kind of power and influence over women. And it's not that he gets every woman, but I think he could. There's so many, except there's probably like 10 to 20% that are just like so far off, so far gone that they don't. But every other woman, it's just where he puts his attention. He doesn't put his attention on getting any of those women because they're not up to standard. And so it would not play out well with the current relationships. They don't want to see him first, any kind of chasing energy or going after lower quality women or anything like that. And his reputation, where he brings his women, and there's a lot of foresight, a lot of far seeing in how he engages with the world. And so me being like a scholar of AZD, being around him, I'm receiving in a way that I see how what he's doing fits into a long-term game plan that doesn't lower one's value, not just in the moment, but in the future moments that you might be in the same environment. You might have your girlfriend with you in that environment. You might see those same people with your girlfriend in a different environment, and it can't lower her value at all. And I mean, it can, it's just, those are dings. Those are future obstacles you'll have to handle. You create future obstacles for yourself by misbehaving today. So behaving in alignment with, your future power level, let's say, future influence level, that's what I mean by calibrating. So calibrating to the kind of person, not that you want to be, but that you will be, so to speak. I mean, you want to be him now, and that's how that time is the illusion. So you see how you want to be in the future, make him now. Like, okay. But if you keep at that, undoubtedly in 5 years, 10 years, you'll have more power, more influence. You'll have more, and your mind, you'll be able to stretch further with who you want to be, how you want to be. It'll develop. So there's always this, you're chasing your ideal. You're not like perfected. You are perfecting. And so you want to be enjoying that. And that's the vibe of enjoying. Like, you don't want to be around AZD in the vibe of correcting yourself. This, all that, and that's tough, especially in the beginning. If you're so inexperienced or so not used to it, it can really make you go inwards in your thinking if you start doubting yourself. And I didn't know this whole science of the mind as I do now. Living with AZD, I've needed to increase my studies in certain subjects so that I could hang. And, that's a really strong commitment on my part. But for you all, what does it take to go out with AZD? I guess that is a part of it. Like the willingness to work, to fix yourself, to be around him when you're out. It's very important because, well, you need to see the importance of being out with him. The reference, his interaction with the doorman, his interaction with the valet, his interaction with whoever he texts or calls on the way. Like with the eyes to see and the mind to perceive, you'll notice that every communication and every action is done from that place of being a world-class player. It doesn't mean he doesn't have highs and lows like human, but his lows are the low of a world champion. His highs are the high of a world champion. So it's like how you would see Michael Phelps, or how you would see Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, or how you would see, anybody, the top celebrity that would just had the most hit movie. Like they go through highs and lows too. And we would expect to admire them in their highs and their lows. And the sad truth is a lot of them, you would not admire them in their highs and lows. And that's what I've noticed through many of the quote masters I've studied with, and yoga masters and spiritual masters and academic masters. And it's their character outside of their craft that's not really admirable. So AZD has his craft and his character, and they're both world-class admirable. And the more you study it, the deeper you look into it, the more it is that. And you just need the mind to perceive and the eyes to see. And the teachings actually help you do that. But putting it into practice, you want to be able to go out with him. Now, that's just the car rides. Now, when you learn, and you'll obviously calibrate like so many things, how you walk and how you dress and how you smell. Those are very important to, being able to make it out with him. He'll tolerate it to some degree. I mean, I also come from older school with him years ago. So, what he would tolerate now, I don't know. It's different. But yeah, looking good, smelling good. Smell is real important. Groomed, clothes fit you the way you want them to fit. I mean, it's not to say you can't wear tight or loose or whatever, but like it should look good. And so you should have some sense of that. It should smell good, and you should have some sense of that. Your readiness to communicate, or at least to not lower the value of the group or him. So that's holding yourself right. That also goes into your avatar, your smell, your hair, your grooming, your appearance, but definitely your posture, your gestures, and so it's a lot of, in the beginning especially, it's a lot of state management, managing your own mental state, because you can't dip. You can't go inwards. You can't turn frowny faced or stiff faced or stiff bodied. And that's easy to say now when you're not out with them. So when you're out with them and you experience his freedom, there's a part of you that wants to just sit back and watch. And then there's a part of you that will actually at some point start to feel less about yourself, because you know that you could do it, but you can't do it because your mind is in the way. And you could do it because it's not like anything you couldn't do. You could say that, you can move your body like that, you can do all that. But for some reason in the moment you can't, because of peer pressure, because it would look like you're copying, because you're not confident that you would be able to handle the attention that it brings you. You wouldn't be able to handle the next moment. And so then you start to go inwards. So there's, so many different mental techniques that we can employ to get through that, like gratitude or appreciation or, cutting boundaries, like what's in my control, what's not. Like there's so many things you can do, memento mori. And, and those are definitely useful, but this is like what it takes to go out with them. And, how to manage your energy so that you're up, like take a little nap before and drink some energy drink right before. That's just part of your responsibility. So you get the most out of it, and so that you can keep going out and keep getting the most out of it. And you'll learn that this game is not like the game of what's called flash game. Flash game is, hey guys, quick question. Who lies more, men or women? The reason I'm asking is blah, 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 blah. Hey, are you guys best friends? Blah, blah, blah. Before I go, I'm noticing something about you. Are you Sagittarius? Oh yeah, well my mom, she was my first angel, but you always wear a ring on that finger? Oh man, yeah, I'm here with some celebrity friends. Just, have you heard of Drake? Well, one of his top entourage guys, he was here doing an event with us. And anyway, I got to get going. But I mean, you want to meet some cool people? Just don't embarrass me. Okay, that mystery method pickup, as it's known with the classical gambits, because mystery is beyond that. He still does gambits, but it's interwoven into conversation. And there's so many gambits that aren't given out. The gambits that are given out are like the tried and true, work, high percentage of the time. They're relatively safe. But people at that level, like AZD, the gambits come out naturally because the life is on that frequency. So you're not necessarily doing flash game. Flash game will give you reference for when you neg right. It'll give you reference for when the girl IOIs or IODs. It gives you reference for how to solicit good emotions from her because you had a gambit that was tried and true and it worked. And, so that's great. Those are training wheels and very powerful. I mean, it's training wheels to an alien spacecraft. It's just amazing. So it's not like to truncate it and make it like into a tricycle, like it's training wheels for a basic thing. No, it's training wheels for like a rocket ship. But over here we have like light speed. It's just the thing about light speed is it's almost like it takes it longer to warm up. Like when you start going in the rocket ship, it just blasts off and it's going. And you're like, man, the rocket ship's ahead of you. Meanwhile, the spacecraft is just warming up. It's still warming up its engines. It's got to warm up for like 2 days. And it's like, man, the rocket ship's already by the moon. And then before the rocket ship gets to the moon, all of a sudden your alien spacecraft is ready to go. And pew, pew, it's at the moon and it beat the spacecraft. Because this is that game that you plant seeds in the girl's mind of your character and who you are, because he's designed himself in a way that his gestures and mannerisms are very counterintuitive, or maybe better said, countercultural. So they're not really the way that men act in the culture. So when you act his way, it stands out. And she may not realize it and be able to acknowledge it in the moment. So that's why it's planting a seed and coming back later and it's germinated, it's sprouted, it's grown a little bit, and then you harvest. Versus Flash game is trying to like really quickly grow and harvest it. And you get some and you get good practice at that. But AZD's game is alien. So, being able to observe and appreciate that, letting yourself assimilate or to copy and mimic like how he does things, down to his energy levels, down to his animation, and it's not that he's always that, because sometimes he's, I don't want to say down, but like, withdrawn or shy almost. I don't know if shy is the right word, but like, just lower energy. And the way he is, how he changes, how he stirs up energy, how he communicates from whatever state of being he is. And yes, he is up a lot of the time. That's what it takes to have multiple relationships. You really start to see your darkness the more relationships you accumulate. I get a second girlfriend, and then the first girl or the second girl, someone's going to notice a little bit of darkness in me from interacting with the other girl. And they don't have a problem with it until I have a problem just with life, and then they have a problem. So if I don't have any darkness from the other girl, both relationships go great. Then at a third girl, somebody's going to be dark, and it's going to carry over into your interaction with the other one, and then they're going to have a problem. Then you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands. So being able to manage the multiple relationships in this way, because you could go to like polyamory.com or whatever, hashtag polylife or whatever. And you'll see a lot, and 9 out of 10 of them, the guys are still beta to the girls. You see it in their eyes. You see it in the eyes of the girls. Every now and then you see there's some really, polygamous guys, modern guys. They're not AZD. I don't know that they could help or teach anybody. They have it. Maybe they had a father or grandfather. They know some things. AZD came from the dirt and up through the ranks and became the world's best player, So, in this way, this is being dominant over the women. And not in a BDSM way, but in a mental way. BDSM is mental too, but in a communication way. BDSM has communication too, but there's something about this that swallows the lifestyle of the woman. So whereas BDSM has these mental frames that you apply in sexual context. So outside of sexual context, the only thing that BDSM has to say is to impose a sexual frame on whatever situation you're going through. Like somehow connoting or suggesting that she's not going to get it anymore. She's not going to get tied up. She's not going to get the sex. She's not going to get your services, how you service her, if she keeps acting that way. And that's how you would have to handle that outside of the BDSM room. Versus this lifestyle is, you're not going to get me. You're not going to get my life. You're not going to get a relationship with me. So instead of you're not going to get sex from me, you're not going to get a relationship from me. In that way, that's why I think BDSM is kind of feminine, even though there's dominance in it, and it's very dominant. And some of those guys, I'm sure, it's just amazing what they can do. And I'm sure that it bleeds over into their lives where they're dominant in their life, but they're also kind of shadowy. So there's two sides to them, and there's a limit to how successful they can be in life and how influential. Maybe they can make it to the top doing that, and they should try if that's what they want to do. This is different because I think that those subjects are so taboo that it's not something I would want my kids around, my young daughter, my young son. Like, it's not, I wouldn't be so proud of it around like my mom or my dad. It's not that my sex needs to make my mom or dad proud, but I think the way that I have sex would make my mom or dad proud. Yeah. The way that I do, if they had to watch it or whatever. I don't think that BDSM would be, and I haven't seen the BDSM outside of sexual context. I haven't seen that kind of guy outside of the sexual context behave in that way that I would be so proud of. It's not that like Coach Marin has great game and his personality, and I like the guy a lot. It's just, it's a different beingness. That's why he's studying AZD. He likes that beingness too. He's bringing that beingness into what he does. And he's going to be, you know, the best on the planet as that hybrid, just like I'm the best yogi on the planet because of that hybrid of AZD's tech with, you know, what I know. So, you know, this is a dominance that swallows the woman's mind in her life. Her whole life is taken over by you. And so you're planting. And how does he do it is because 15 years ago, he had a beautiful girlfriend from a line of beautiful girlfriends and then found the pickup arts, decided he's going to do it. She stayed with him. He got good by mentoring with one of the proteges of mystery, gaming girls, and going through all those experiences of kiss closing, number closing, bounces, bouncing them to the venues, practice. Then he had a martial arts academy back home. So he kept practicing and pulling girls indirectly using the mystery method, just year after year, month after month after month after month, year after year, consistently picking up hired guns from malls and so on. So hundreds of women, mystery method, picking them up. And he had a place to bounce them besides a night venue, getting drunk or partying. It was his fitness academy. So many women came that he split the fitness academy into the martial arts center and the women's fitness academy. Only women there. So then for a decade or whatever, he had, or 8 years or whatever, he had a women's academy that had 100, 200, 300 women subscribed to it. So he's around that. He's the only man allowed there. There's a bodyguard, there's pit bulls. Only women go inside. His girls or his girlfriends or whatever, they're the fitness trainers there. He's training them. So he's around all of that women energy, hanging out after hours with all the women coming over to his house. He lives with 5 women. So it's just like, man, for so many years. So he's tapped in to that communication with all those women plus new women. So how to do the mystery method, how to perceive IOIs, IODs, negs, disqualifiers, how to qualify. So the woman feels qualified, how to build comfort, trust, all these things, all the way up to sex and relationships that long last and are also stick around while you're gaming new women and bringing them in and then keeping them immersed in your lifestyle. So you have to organize your girlfriend so that she doesn't badmouth you behind your back or doesn't have an attitude. How does she handle herself when she's in a negative emotional state? And then when you live with 3 or 6 women and it's like one of, or 5, 4, however many women, he lived up to 6. And one is having a bad day, how it influences the other, how that influences your business, and then all the women you're interacting with. Meanwhile, you're picking up new women and so on. And then you separate your life where you hand over martial arts to the martial arts head student and you hand over the women's fitness. So you're barely there 1 hour a day. And the rest of your life, you're just studying and mastering relationship skills and communication skills. You're fucking girls left and right every day for years. You're so immersed in it, man. You like all of your gestures, they change, that you calibrate your beingness, calibrate your tonality, your state of mind. How do you do your morning wake up? When you're in a house with 6 other women, man, and then how do you go to sleep? And then just day after day. And so his whole character, his whole conscious living character gets adjusted and calibrated because when he makes mistakes, the girl's attraction goes down. When he acts a fool, he loses the girl. Like, so you got to deal with that. And then meanwhile, if you get too down about that, you lose more women. And then you get really down about it. It's like a snowball effect. So it's like so much inner work and calibration of one's self, one's communication, state of mind. And then of course the teaching and teaching this stuff, lecturing once a day, twice a day, every day for years. Now it's just like you're tapped into not only the relationships and the application at the highest level of mystery level pickup. It's now beyond mystery. It's beyond the game. It's the relation, seduction, and it is mystery method and seduction. And how to do this while holding down relationships, being out with girls, and being in this like kind of loyalty and the standards for the women, and it has yielded some incredible wisdom. And not just in the form of what he lectures about, but how he is, how he warms up to go out, how his dress, his smells, how he smells, how he talks, how he responds to different shit tests, how he manages his time communicating with women. Obviously, how he is when he's out with you, just you, not other women, but how he pulls other women in. So there's for what it takes for you, not only to go out with him. What are you gonna have to do? You have to come to San Jose. So Albright, you're gonna have to come to San Jose. You know, Josiah, you're gonna have to come back to San Jose. Gio's in San Jose. Kenjo, you're gonna have to make it to San Jose. You know what I'm saying? And you know, other guys, Camilo and Freedom Ranger and Gio, you're in San Jose. Alex, Powerhouse Cervantes, you're gonna be in San Jose regularly. so you'd be out with AZD. So now what would I give as, let's say, like advice to those guys? Maybe not Camilo. Camilo needs to step it up somehow. I mean, his life is a story of stepping it up. So stepping it up to the next level is just, it's another level on this pyramid that he's created for himself. But that's what it takes. You got to step it up so that you can come out with AZD and really learn this game and change your life. You have the opportunity, the blessed opportunity of not just being, of being here from another country, because guys in other countries cannot go out with AZD. So you are here able to go out and learn from the number one man on the planet that has clocked 100,000 hours around women. And that's going to shortcut your process so much that the worth of that is the worth of life. It's time. It compresses time. So it saves you time. And remember, this is an alien ship. So it takes time for it to warm up before you can go at warp speed. But we're hitting that critical threshold. We're hitting that critical mass. We're here at the base, and the guys that have really been around AZD a lot, it's so second nature that we're starting to see the effects of just our beingness out. And now we're learning to capitalize on it more and more and more. So that's what it is. When you come out with AZD, you got to come out a lot with them, because it's not like he's one-on-one teaching you, now say this, do this, whatever. That's like what you get a pickup coach for or whatever. But he is doing that. It's just what he's correcting is so much beyond pickup that it's not going to be him correcting your opener like that. He will sometimes, he might. But what it is lifestyle correction. So it's all the little things about you that would get in the way of you having his life. Because there's lots of guys that can do pickup. If you want to have AZD's life, then you got to calibrate all sorts of things. And so much of that calibration must come from your end perceiving. You must open your eyes. So you got to get here. The guys that are here perceive, appreciate the ability to perceive, and apply naturally as it feels natural for you to talk to her, to talk with him, having interest in your brothers, to keep the energy well and good, be able to measure like your emotional state, your facial expressions, the energy states of the guys around you, manage your own energy levels so that you have alertness when you're out, and how to, work your whole day so that your schedule is such that you have you're peaking when we go out, or you have good energy when we go out. Like I said earlier, a little nap before, how you time when you eat, not eating so much when you're out, always having those breath mints. And these are basic game things, having a positive emotional state. Jump roping is really nice. That helps me. Breathing, honestly, sleep helps me. And, and the follow through. So it's not going to end just when you guys leave. Like, you want to be able to have a comfortable ride home. You want to be able to sit well with yourself at night, to process the experiences of the night so it doesn't so negatively affect your next day, because you're really pushing the horizons. You're pushing and expanding your mind. Going out with AZD is a mind expanding thing, because it's the gestures and behaviors and the effects that you didn't think really so possible, not so easily possible. You thought you had to be like a rap star on stage to have that kind of effect. You haven't seen it. When you see it, it's not just that you'll believe it. When you see it, it will do a lot for it'll leave your mind thinking in many different ways. How could I do that? How did he do that? Why didn't it go this way or that way? You'll have other outcomes. You'll start playing out scenes in your own head. If you had done that, or if you had done that thing, it'll really set off your mind, all the gears going. And so you must process that at the evening, because you want to be able to do it again. The guys that don't process it, they don't come back, because it just kind of, it does things to their mind. The same way that we implant our character in the woman for the long term. We plant a seed that will sprout, even if 5 years from now. It'll be a hard image. TXL plants a hard image. You know what I'm saying? Powerhouse plants a hard image. Johnny Frieda has the potential to plant a hard image in the girl's mind that will, blossom and germinate. So, somehow that was related to like processing at the end of the night. You want to be able to process, or you won't make it out again. And then, so the same way that we do that, we're doing that with guys too. Like the behavior polarizes humans. Humans are gender neutral. The normal humans are gender neutral. And so this way of talking and thinking and being polarizes the energies within everybody. And that is experienced as this kind of split. That's what sets the mind off. So there's this energy going on between where you thought it was supposed to be this way, and now you're seeing it's this way. So there's a yin aspect of that and a yang aspect of that. And, relaxing into that, just the whole process of, the Michael Singer experiment and transcendental meditation and so many things that we've gone through. And that's the tech that he teaches. He's teaching you how to cope with, he's teaching you how to get closer to him. Okay. And that is kind of my single-minded focus when it comes to communicating with all the guys in IMC, is getting you prepared to get here, which does involve money, but it involves a readiness to learn and an ambitiousness and a determination and a kind of a certainty. And it's not going to happen in the first 2 weeks or 2 months, maybe. But I'll keep nudging it in that direction because that's all I'm interested in. Okay. So that's basically the end. I could probably speak slower, don't you think? Slower speech would not be so rapid fire. Able to hear and perceive better. What do we do? What are we doing now? We're about to go out. What do I do? Yogi Chris, I got a question. Yeah, what is it? Hey, man, how do you get ready personally to go out with AZD? Like, what's your personal ritual? Well, I like to stream, get my voice warmed up. I might read a little bit and, maybe practice some routines or maybe some affirmations out loud, probably put my hands over my head and maybe, some movement, probably play some music, new stuff that I do. Because on the gathering this month, who's not on the gathering? Kenjo, Camilo, Albright, you guys should be on the gathering. If I post this publicly, then you should definitely be on the fucking gathering, freeloader. So I have recently on the gathering this month, there was a recording where he went through a bunch of different genres of music and then went through some visualization, like make that a roller coaster, make that a hero, make that this and that. And so I like playing that or just thinking that way, going through my playlist, doing that, warming up my imagination, some visualization exercises that he gave us as a VIP, and I feel blessed too, just so you know, I feel blessed that I was born to my parents and they hooked it up with, some stocks when I graduated with my master's degree, and I liquidated all the stocks and paid AZD and got my yoga teacher cert. And then, I was white or whatever, and they had good credit. So I got good credit. So I maxed out my credit, everything I could to train with AZD. And so I was blessed with more, but I also therefore sacrificed more than people that weren't, at least in a quantitative sense. I just sacrificed everything. I made myself just as broke as the brokest person. Minus the fact that I had some possessions, and that was gradually whittling down, less and less. I lived out of my car for 3 years studying AZD. Everything I owned was in my car. And yeah, so I'm blessed and I made the most of it to get here. So not everybody's going to have my blessings, but you have the ability to give it your all. Have you given it as much as me? That internal measure of as much, not the external measure, the internal measure of as much as you can, as much as I did. So, doing those visualizations or whatever, making sure I look good with my avatar, what have you. And, just doing it like that. The more in the talkative state you can get. So what it takes, that music. Now, if I was a lone wolf, man, and all of you are lone wolves except the guys in base 2 or 3, and base 5, a little bit. Well, it's a tough situation. You should make it your priority to get into a base. And you should, if I was you, I wouldn't really game on Friday, Saturday night like that. I would just, I would go to social areas during daytime or early evening. And I would make the local venues, in my backyard that are like walking distance or biking distance. I would make them kind of my area. I would go there frequently and befriend the staff. And, I would look at relocating myself to be around IMC bases because they'll get more attention from Arash. At some point, the bases, if they ever get formed, I'm sure they will, abroad, I think there's only one person here that's abroad, that's Albright. So let's say UK base was formed and he gets established and does good. One of you guys comes here for base leader training. You guys become a base. Then everybody here, except for AZD, it's possible for us to go there to do camps or to train you. And he would stream online. That's as close as you're going to get until you can relocate yourself here. So you might do that, and then maybe you can find a way to get into the United States and stay here. And that's just what it is. And then everybody else, I mean, I don't know what you're doing really. I mean, I know I asked you what you're doing, but I don't know if that's really what you're doing. So I mean, everybody here is pushing hard. I think that's why people don't attend my streams as much, because I push them real hard. Okay. Anything else? Any dialogue? Maybe for Master Damari, he's here for base leader training. So, you know, this is well, we went out the other night. It wasn't like this. It will be more crowded, and we'll go to straights, not just you know, restaurant. It's a restaurant bar. So, what are some things that you do to prepare yourself to go out?
Well, being around, I'll take your seat. Being around in base 1408, you know, I have an opportunity to, of course, you know, absorb and you know, Sultan just got done streaming. Yogi's streaming now, right? So I'm absorbing them and, you know, staying in conversation and communication with them. I like to, you know, I listen to binaural beats to help me get in a different state of mind that tunes me, you know, to the frequency that, you know, I want to operate at. And, you know, so tonight, you know, I'll most likely get into that. I love avataring up, you know, so, you know, tapping into the physicality of it, you know, had the opportunity to train today with Yogi and Sultan doing jujitsu. So that was a next level experience. It was my first time doing jujitsu. And so, you know, just having new experiences, you know, it's really exciting. Of course, having the reference from, what was it, 2 days ago, you know, 2 nights ago, going out in field and being with AZD, you know, I'm looking forward to, you know, a different interaction. Of course, you know, it's going to be more crowded this Friday, you know, so there's the Friday Venus, you know, type of energy out. And you know, so I'm really looking forward to tapping in, you know. Of course, music is always a great, you know, tool to use to tune to a certain frequency and whatnot. So, you know, all of that plays a factor. Most likely hop in the shower again, get fresh, and yeah, I'm really excited for that. So yes, it's, you know, it's accumulation of all these different things. It's not just that one point or what have you that you may be looking for. It's an accumulation of, you know, the daily process, right? So the process of leading up to the moment that you step out and go with the pack, you know. But it's a way different experience going out with the pack, right? So you know, I think back to when I was going out alone. I was going to a place in Chandler in Arizona. It was called Sandbar, and I've gone there many times now with the brothers. But back then, my process was, you know, I would tap into the gathering, right? I would tap into that energy or what have you. And it was like at the time where AZD was going out or everybody was going out from the base. And so I would listen to that, of course, and really get in state during there, you know, take whatever concepts and whatnot I could soak from AZD, and then, you know, take that and really just get into my own process. So I would, you know, play, you know, like I said, certain types of music that would lead me up to that, you know, get in the shower, you know, just get in a state of mind. And, you know, and there would always be a moment, right, where I'm, you know, transitioning, right? So I would, before having the actual reference of being with AZD in the car, you know, I would, you know, do what it was that I believe he was doing on my own, right, in my own car, right? So I would, you know, of course, tune the music and roll down the windows and, you know, just enjoy the transfer of, you know, being in one position to another and, you know, going to that, the venue. And then right before I was going to the venue, I would play specific songs that I would tune to, you know, harnessing, you know, whatever beats it was I was tapping into for the night. And yeah, I would, you know, do an imagination process. So I would visualize the beats walking in into the venue before I actually walked in. That was a big key for me, you know. So playing on the imagination, taking different pieces that I've learned really over the years, you know, just watching, you know, AZD online or being around with the pack and because I've gone to the strip club a couple times here in San Jose. And, so it's just, having these different references, it allows you to, kind of package those and take them back, to where you were or where you are, where you're going, especially if you're going out alone and being a quote unquote lone wolf or what have you. So, it's a lot of it is a creative aspect, of course, leading up to that point. You want to, of course, like Yogi was saying, get in a talkative state, as I'm doing now or what have you, and just finding different opportunities to continue to speak. And that's like the best part about being around other brothers. It's not like you're not going to be in communication, right? You're going to continuously, stream your thoughts and ideals with each other. And at some point, you'll connect that bridge or what have you, and then just begin to expand on what it is that you're doing. So yeah, that's what I would say. Does anybody have any questions or anything, or what is anybody going out tonight? TXL, you stepping out? Johnny Ranger, I don't know, you guys are meeting up with us. Salute. Yes, sir. Smooth. Camilo, what's going on, brother? You're not unmuted? All right.
Good. What's up? Everything's
going
good.
Out? Where you at right now?
Here in San Jose, in downtown.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
doing.
Come around, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Come tap in.
It's way beyond even just going out. It's just like AZD says, man. This is a calibration of your character.
Mm-hmm.
And that it bleeds into your life, so that all the activities of your life become like this kind of reflection of the universe on who you're being and how you are, how you respond to things, how you take certain gestures, how you take communications, and how you reply, what do you give back.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the way that we're integrated with our business and just everything. Man, like how I was at the jiu-jitsu and he was asking me about IMC and how the guys are there at IMC. Like I brought 2 guys. Like nobody brings guys to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And when we're out, like there's a friendliness, a warm friendliness. Everybody's my friend, but there's a what is that? Like you might have a reference for what that is in your own mind. And so when I say warm and friendly, you go out in a certain way. But coming around here is, again, it's seeing like the world class of that.
Yeah.
So you're calibrating very, very, it's like learning jujitsu from the world champion. You're not getting wrong ideas. You're not getting shortcuts that will hurt you in other ways. You're getting the sort of strategy that's going to work for a lifetime, and it's the best. And, so I don't know if there's more to really say. So I think a lot of like what it takes to go out with AZD is seeing what it takes to. You want me to share the seat with you there, buddy?
Yeah.
Fine. Or I'll just take. A lot of knowing what it takes to go out with AZD is really seeing what it is that AZD is doing and learning to value that at such a high level, because it is so high level. The more high level that you see it, the more you will do what it takes. And in my assessment, it's the highest level. I don't know what else there is that's better. I see Calibrate, like, oh my God, like, and these other guys that just don't last. And I don't know who I'm not knowing about that's like so concealed. I guess AZD is concealed from people. So there's probably some guys that maybe I don't know about. But, when the time is right, then I'll cross paths with them or one of their students or whatever. Until then, I mean, this is top notch. So I don't know what else to say about it. Beat a dead horse. I think everybody should be an affiliate. I think everybody should, that's on Dragons there, should get an affiliate link and sell everybody. I think that, it's not acceptable for me in my life to be a lone wolf out there. And so I can't imagine why that would be acceptable for you when this is so possible. And so there's got to be there's a way to figure it out. You've got to figure it out, or don't. And then, you just be around for a while. There are some guys, they even have names, but they're still lone wolf. They're out there not doing anything. Like AZD will shout them out, give them props, and you hear them contribute sometimes, and they are lone wolves out there. You will start to see more and more and more and more and more. It'll be so clear, so obvious, the difference between the guys that live in bases and the guys that don't. The evolution of the guys that live in bases is just skyrocketing past the guys that are lone wolfing it out there. And that's so important, because that is the bridge to AZD's way. You're not going to get AZD's way being a lone wolf out there. You're going to have to man, that's man. So getting in a base is paramount. Now you might be in remote regions or whatever. So you got to take control of that. What's in your control is get guys on to Dragon's Lair. You got to be, because you're definitely not going to make up the distance between you and AZD if you're trying to hold on to every bridge you have. You're going to have to burn some bridges, or attempt, even threaten to burn the bridges if they don't get involved. Like, get them involved, get more people on. And, you know, and then you can make a little bit of money while you're doing that. That's the beginning of the process. Don't shun $40, $50, $100 like it's not enough for your time. Like, making money doing that it's the start of something. And then you take more and more responsibility for it. Let's say make Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and then get new leads, generate new leads, create an ebook of notes, and then put it out there and collect emails and make a newsletter. And then all of a sudden now you have a bunch of guys, and that's what I did. That's what I did. I wasn't handed guys to communicate with like that. Okay, we done, cuz. I learned that from Rudy Ramirez. He was teaching me how to speak Mexican gangster. What's up, cuz? How you doing, cuz? All right. No other dialogue, nothing back? Okay. Readiness to communicate, very important. And all right, we're going to get started on our process. I'm going to try to heal my body as much as I can in the next hour, because I am out of alignment. Jiu-jitsu fucked me up today, dude. Like my shoulder, my hand, like my right calf. Like, okay. I'll see you guys. Oh, guys that are in San Jose, you know, you can get a week free at Samurai Jiu-Jitsu. So whenever you want to try that. Okay, Os. I go Mondays and Fridays at 12.